Hello, my friend. I am CharLee Simons here, your host on Do Not Talk, talking to the people I'm not supposed to talk to, talking about things I'm not supposed to talk about. Kind of my thing. Right here, got two little things in the corner. One is just showing you who you're watching, and the other one is a QR code, and that is for nuevalife.com/CharLee Simons. American-made products for your health, for your confidence, for your looks, for your mind. Please check them out. You'll be helping the show, because if you use my name as a promo code, you'll get a little 10% discount. And I also get to participate in the profits that Nueva Life makes. So I've joined in with them. I'm part of their family. You can as well. Feel free to contact me about that. But go to Nueva Life. That's Spanish for new, Nueva, nuevalife.com/CharLee Simons, CharLeeSimons. nuevalife.com/CharLee Simons. And Sheriff Richard Mack is who I'm talking to today. I like this guy. I always have. Sheriff Richard Mack, man, he was integral in so many different ways in his influence with the CSPOA, which is the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. What he's doing is training law enforcement, not just sheriffs, not just deputies, but all law enforcement in the constitutional protected powers of an elected sheriff and law enforcement in general. What we can and can't do is teaching them the Constitution. And he's not doing it for money. He never has. Now, if he gets some gifted along the way, there's ways to help and support him. I suggest that you do, and I hope that you do. And I hope you'll watch what's going on right now as I ask Sheriff Richard Mack, because we have a sheriff running for governor of the state of California. His name is Chad Bianco. I just met him. I've met him a few times. He hasn't been on the show yet. I've invited him many times. When I saw him just this past weekend, I went right to him and said, "I'm CharLee Simons. I've had every conservative gubernatorial candidate on my show except you." "Oh, we'll make sure. We'll get that done. We'll get that handled." Took my card. "Oh, no, we're going to make that happen." Hasn't yet, but I don't know if it will after this show. I've had Vim Miller on. He's had a few things to say about Sheriff Chad Bianco. I've had Steve Hilton on, who is the main. He's been neck and neck with Bianco, but even still, they're only like 13, 14%. But either one of them could beat any Democrat that's running for governor right now. But there are people who will show up in droves this coming June, and hopefully you'll be one of them, who will actually vote to see who goes on to the big election. Because elections are won and lost in the primaries in California because of our jungle primary, which is a dismal, pathetic experiment. And I hope if we get another governor who's conservative, I hope that goes away. I hope they're able to get rid of that. But I asked Sheriff Richard Mack because he's got, so I have friends who are sheriffs, besides Sheriff Mack. Jeff Lykoff, I consider a great friend, and I admire him tremendously. And he's the sheriff of El Dorado County. I know Sheriff Wu in Placer County. He's not a fan of mine. I know people, I have family in law enforcement. So I respect their opinion because they're on the front lines every day, aren't they? And they have to respond to stupid things that politicians do to try and suck up to their crowd. So let's get Sheriff Richard Mack into the mix right now, get his thoughts on the California gubernatorial race going on now on Do Not Talk. Hit it!
Yeah! Woo!
Hey, Charlie. Great to be back with you, my friend. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being had. That's my favorite joke. I know that you've got all kinds of stories about politicians trying to do what they think is right. And I don't even believe they think it's right. I think they do whatever, finger in the wind, which way is the wind blowing.
Right.
And law enforcement has to comply because they're calling the shots. But when it comes to the sheriff's department or sheriff's office, as Sheriff Lykoff insists on being called, that's a constitutionally protected elected position. And you answer to a higher calling than just your local little peons who are trying to call the shots. So you've got a lot of experience of bucking the trend and bucking the system, haven't you? Including President Obama. Tell us about that, by the way, anybody who doesn't know.
Well, I sued the Clintons when I was sheriff. And,
the Clintons.
And won a case at the U.S. Supreme Court. And then we did a lot against, through the CSPOA, the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, we did a lot against Obama. And at one point, he was really pushing that they were going to do gun confiscations for the assault rifles because they were so mean looking and they had big magazines. And so he wanted to get rid of those. And some of the magazines, we'll let you have a 10-round magazine, but we're not going to let you have a 30. And so, okay, well, we'll kill people 10 at a time and switch clips and magazines instead of at 30. So it's total nonsense. And the only reason they're doing stuff like that is to make it more sellable and palatable for the people who actually believe in the Constitution and the Second Amendment. And so they do a piecemeal thing, this Fabianistic style of taking away your rights. And so 550 sheriffs wrote letters to Obama warning him that the sheriffs of this country would not tolerate, that was the word I loved, would not tolerate the federal government trying to make criminals out of law-abiding gun owners in their counties. And it looked like it looks now, looking back in history, it looks like those sheriffs saved the Second Amendment. And it's been several times in American history, in recent American history, where sheriffs have saved the Second Amendment, including our lawsuit against the Clintons back in 1997, when the Supreme Court ruled that the states are not subject to federal direction and that the states do not have to bow to the Congress or to the White House or any of that we are autonomous and that we're independent, and that according to the Supreme Court case and according to the Constitution, that we don't answer to the federal government. And the federal government is not our boss, especially your sheriff. Your sheriff does not answer to the White House or to Congress. He answers only to the people that appoint him or elect him. And that's what makes us a constitutional republic, that the people are in charge of appointing our representatives in government in all three branches.
My friends, a couple I mentioned in law enforcement, are all behind Sheriff Chad Bianco from Riverside County in Southern California. And I know it's because he's a fellow sheriff. I get that. You kind of have to. But in your opinion, is that the best choice for California?
No, not even. I don't think Sheriff Bianco is up to it, because everything that he's done ever since he announced his candidacy is a bunch of political mumbo jumbo. And he's just doing whatever it takes. He's just like any other politician. He's just doing whatever it takes to win an election. And I'm tired of that. First he said he was a constitutional sheriff, yet he never came to any of our meetings. And so I'm going, well, when did he learn to be a constitutional sheriff? Well, that was all politics for him. That was just about him getting ready to run for governor. And then he said he wasn't going to enforce, and he came out and he was like leading the way for California sheriffs. I'm not going to enforce any of the COVID-19 mandates. And then this lady is in a dollar store and she refuses to put on a mask, and one of his deputies came and arrested her. And so I tried to call him. Yeah, I tried to call him and tell him that this happened. Did you know that one of your deputies did this? And all they did is refer me to a Deputy Martinez, who is their PR director. And I said, well, maybe you can tell Bianco that the CSPOA is very disappointed in him. And we believe that he's a better man than that, because he said he wasn't going to enforce COVID-19 mandates. And then one of his deputies goes and arrests a lady for not wearing a mask. And so Bianco never really responded to that, at least not to us. And I think he made some more political excuses as to why that happened, instead of saying, "Oh, well, I've reprimanded the deputy that did it. We've apologized to the lady that got arrested, and no one in Riverside County should be arrested for such an idiotic thing of not wearing a mask." And I'm one that even admitted that a private store, a private business, does not have to allow you in if you're not wearing a mask. They don't, and they didn't. Safeway said if you're not wearing a mask, then get out. In some places, they didn't care if they didn't wear masks. It just depended on what state you were in. But quite frankly, a private business can tell you can't wear purple shirts, or you can't have dyed hair, whatever they want. It's their property, it's their business, and they do not have to let you in. But this was the case. If the deputies would have just showed up and said, "Look, this person does not have to wear a mask, but at the same time, you don't have to let them in here." And if Bianco would have taken that route, I would have supported him, but he didn't. And he just really, to be honest with you, he just doesn't know what he's doing.
That's been a consistency throughout since he announced he's running for governor, and I started paying attention. Is any response to any criticism is automatically shooting down anybody who's making the questioning, doing the questioning, or making the criticism, instead of just saying, "You know what, that was a lapse in judgment. Probably shouldn't have done that." Looking back on it now, he's still, this past weekend when I saw him, that question came up, and I knew it would, so I didn't bother asking it about him kneeling at the BLM rally. He still insists that he was praying. I've seen the video. There was
but and the same with Janine Pirro, who threatened everybody who came in to Washington D.C. with a gun, even a lawfully licensed person to carry a gun, and she says, "Don't come in here. You'll be arrested, and you're not going to get your gun back." And then when a bunch of us, national organizations, NRA, GOA, CSPOA, called her on it, then she was, "Oh no, I was just talking about criminals doing that," and she's lying. If she would have just come out and said, "I was wrong. I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking that day. I really do believe in the Second Amendment, so please forgive me." No, she just makes excuses and lied about it, and she should have been fired. I'm sorry. I used to think that she was really a conservative, but she's not, and she's just a big mouth, and she violated her oath. She violated the purpose for which she's there, and Trump should have fired her. I guess he stayed out of it. He never said anything, and I guess he was just trying to hope the situation would go away because he was kind of caught between a rock and a hard spot because of her ignorance and quite frankly, her stupidity in saying what she said.
This past weekend with, again, Sheriff Chad Bianco at a campaign stop that I attended, and they allowed us to ask questions. I went up and asked about that video that has been making the rounds. I've had several people send it to me of him saying that because Biden invited in these people, these illegals, he invited them in, that made them legal, and that yes, they should be granted amnesty. Now, he never used the word amnesty on purpose, and so that gives them, what is it called, deniable plausibility. So I questioned him on that at this event, and he got visibly irritated that I even asked that question, and instead attacked me.
I never heard him say that. Do you have a video for that?
I do.
If you could play it, I would really like to hear it.
Okay. All right. If you have time, because I know that you're in a bit of a hurry. I turned off my phone and everything. It's actually on my phone. I have to look it up, but I will.
I've still got about 20 minutes left.
He got angry at me, as he does. I have other, for Kim Yater is another one. He got angry at her, questioning the BLM, kneeling, and all these opportunities to say, yeah, it was probably a lapse in judgment, or I may have misheard it. But I prefaced my question with him about the amnesty thing by saying, in the military, the only order you do not have to obey is an unlawful one.
Correct.
When Biden, the worst president this nation's ever had, Biden, Obama, invited them in, and he did. Sheriff Bianco said that made them here legal. No, they're still illegal.
That's
President of the United
absolutely
States.
insanity. That statement is beyond insane.
That's what I thought too. And he got angry.
Okay, so let's put that in perspective. So the president violates the law, doesn't enforce the law, and invites and actually helps bring people into our country illegally. And because the president commits a crime and does something illegal, the fruits of that crime have to be tolerated and allowed to stay in our country, and they can become a citizen.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Two crimes do not make a right. And so the president committed a crime. He actually committed treason by doing that. And then the people that were coming in illegally get to stay here illegally because the president committed a crime and said they could stay here, and that's a crime. So, and he calls himself a lawman. Oh my! That's just ridiculously so stupid that it just shows. It just shows that he'll say anything to get votes, and he's trying to get Hispanic votes with that, and it was just ridiculous. And
it did seem like catering. Yes,
he's losing his base on that.
Catering, but pandering.
Yeah,
I did find it. I'll have to hold the phone to the microphone so you can hear it, but you won't be able to see it much because it is on my phone. Do you want to see it still?
Okay.
All right.
The bottom line is we absolutely must have a path to citizenship for people that are here. The kind of like something that people don't realize. The 10 million people that came through Border Patrol into our country in the last 4 years are here legally. Biden invited them in.
Because Biden invited them in, they're here illegally.
Yeah.
And that's the end of it. That's all I have. That's all I have. I was so disappointed because I got to tell you, I love Pastor Cheon. I love Louis Herms, Daniel Mercury. We have a strong bench. We have some extraordinary men stepping up.
Those are all worlds better than those guys. Are all better than
even Steve Hilton. I've had Steve Hilton on. I have questions about his wife's association with social media giants and so on and so forth. But still, he's got a good track record, and we saw what he did in England. Of course, socially, he and I could not be more apart. He's kind of soft on, traditional marriage. He's kind of soft on abortion. He's kind of soft on homosexual rights and so on. But
homosexuals have the rights everybody else does, and no more.
Steve Hilton is right on, I think. But then so is Sheriff Bianco, and I was very.
I want to say who I am supporting. I have endorsed Pastor Cheon, and I believe that he's the best man running, and he's a good man. He actually sued Gavin Newsom and won a case in California's court.
Yes, he did.
And he won. And
he said,
I'm proud to call him friend, and I'm proud to support him. Yeah. And but if Hilton gets up at the top, I will support him. If Chad Bianco makes it to the top, I'll support him too.
Same here. Because
I'll have some reservations, but I will not support a Democrat. No,
exactly. Because we know what they are. Even if they act like they're centrists, we know who they are and what they do. Once they get into positions of power, they're liars. They're doing their father's work.
They've been destroying America. They've been destroying California, and it's time to turn that around. And to the Democrats who might be listening to this, it's time for you people to stop voting for members of your party just because they're members of your party. The people that you've been voting for in the past are destroying America and destroying our country, destroying the American dream, forcing people to support your socialistic and communistic ideals is wrong and immoral, and it's against our Constitution. Socialism and communism are not constitutional alternative governments. They are the antithesis of the American government and our Constitution. They are just the opposite of what our Constitution allows. Start voting for someone else and stop voting to destroy America. Take another route. Okay? I'm not telling you to quit the Democrat Party. I'm telling you to make the Democrat Party constitutional and American. and vote for people who believe in freedom and individual liberty and civil rights.
I have brought every single person running for office who's a conservative, I've brought them forward. I've given them a media spotlight that the mainstream media never would or ever will, at least as we know it now. And I've tried to give them some attention and some traction and let people know there's all kinds of choices. Pay attention. But the California Republican Party has raw-rawed from the beginning Steve Hilton and Chad Bianco. Seems like if you're SoCal, you're all about Bianco. If you're NorCal, you're all about Hilton, because that's where they live. And there's such a real possibility of splitting the vote if we vote for any other candidate, just because out of conscience, I think that Cheyenne would be extraordinary. And so I'm going to vote for him. There's such a thing as splitting the vote in California because of the jungle primary. The top 2 vote getters go to the main election.
But there's one other thing, too, that you and I've talked about before. And I want to make sure I tell this, too, because I was really disappointed in Sheriff Bianco when he and his department arrested Van Miller. And he used this arrest to pretend to the public and lie to the public that he prevented an assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Okay. Because Van Miller was actually in line through security to go see and film some of Donald Trump's speech.
As a media person.
Yeah, right.
It was Coachella, SoCal.
And it just so happened that he came in from Nevada where he kept guns in his car. He didn't take his guns out of his car, and that was really stupid. And he got arrested. And then Chad Bianco announced to the world that he saved.
By the way, just quantify that statement real quick, because I want everyone to fully understand. Vin Miller fully disclosed that he had weapons in his vehicle.
Yeah,
it's not
totally.
Like
he was totally upfront.
What's this?
Yeah.
He actually went.
He wasn't trying to hide it.
Yeah,
which was really stupid of him to come to California and have guns in the car, because you can't do that in California. And so
a constitutional carry, a CCW permit, concealed carry permit doesn't apply to somebody who lives in Nevada.
No, and California is very communistic when it comes to that issue. And so, but I know Van Miller very well, and Van was really ticked off, and he said, I'm going to sue Bianco. I'm going to sue Riverside County. And I said, look, I kind of know Sheriff Bianco, and I'm going to try to arrange a meeting with you, me, and him. And let's settle this. Let's just get this off his plate. It's not going to help him at all.
That was very good of you.
Continue with this. So I called Sheriff Bianco. I told him that I wanted to meet with him and Ben Miller. And I said, I know that we can sit down and let cooler heads prevail. And I can get Ben Miller off your plate. And you don't have to worry about him suing you. And you can talk things out with him and him with you. And he basically told me in no uncertain terms, he basically gave me the middle finger, told me to mind my own business, and told me to stay the hell out of it. Well, okay. So I did. And so I never brought it up to him again. Some other people did. Some other news people did. And he just didn't care. And then I heard him on a radio show that some lady reporter asked him, do you still think that you saved President Trump from an assassination attempt? And he goes, this is word for word what Sheriff Bianco said. In our minds, we did. In our minds, we did. What kind of an answer is that? According to us, we did.
Answer.
Yeah, I know. And so it was such a stupid answer. And I'm going, in our minds, we did? Well, in the minds of the FBI, he didn't. In the minds of the Secret Service, he didn't. You're the only one that thinks this, and you got to wonder why. Because he wanted to make a splash politically for his campaign and announced to everybody, I just saved President Trump. Thank goodness. Yeah. And he was hoping that President Trump was going to thank him publicly and that he was going to endorse him and all this. And That's a fruitcake answer, and that's a fruitcake candidacy. And yes, I still will support him because even that kind of a fruitcake is better than another Democrat for the state of California. But I'm sorry, for me to smooth things over with Sheriff Bianco, he and I are going to have to sit down and have a talk.
Right.
And because I'm every bit that I've just said is 100% the truth. Yeah. And so I'm willing to give anybody a second chance. But he and I would have to sit down and talk, and I don't think he'll ever do that. I think he's too proud of an individual. I'm extending the olive branch to him, and I'm just telling him he and I could settle things between us if he would like to.
He's a banty rooster, as my grandfather used to say. He's a banty rooster.
Say that louder.
Banty rooster.
Oh.
Very proud, controlling the hen yard. Everything's going to be done his way, and he's going to be bossy and mean and strike out against anybody that dares to challenge that. That's Banty Rooster. It's perfect description as far as I'm concerned.
And he has some in-house problems with his own deputies, a lot of them.
Yeah, I understand that. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your insight and for your input into all of this. I appreciate you more than you know, Sheriff Richard Mack. And tell us more about how we can find the CSPA and help out and get involved with that, because it's vitally important, I think.
The CSPOA, the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, is for you. It's so that you'll have somebody in government somewhere that you can turn to when government becomes venal and oppressive, like the government in California is doing all the time. There should be a place of refuge for you where you know that someone will stand up and interpose on your behalf to protect your rights and to protect your family and to protect your liberty. And if that's not your sheriff, then you don't have it. And I know the sheriff of El Dorado very well, Sheriff Leacoff. Jeff's a good man, and I really wish that there was
more like him.
56 sheriffs just like him in all throughout the state of California. Yeah, but folks, we have got to work together. You've got to join and be part of this cause of liberty. And go to our website, become a member of the CSPOA, and we'll help train you to work with your sheriff. And we do that every Wednesday. We're having our CSPA webinar tomorrow. I almost said mañana. And tomorrow we'll do it. And so, folks, go to cspoa.org, get our books, and join our cause. Because our cause is your cause, and it is the American cause, and it is the cause, the holy cause of liberty. So thank you so much, CharLee. Thank you very much.
Honor and a privilege. Thank you, sir. And you can follow me and support this show at CharLeeSimons.com, CharLeeSimons.com. Get yourself one of these awesome mugs, big old 15-ounce mug. Look at that. Let's talk about politics and religion. You'll be helping the show that way. There's all kinds of merchandise on there too, or ways to give if you want to support this ministry. And I need it. I could really use your help. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. But most importantly, America bless God.